My name's Sophia Rossi. I'm 48 years old and I own Sophia's Sweet Haven, a chain of 10 bakeries across the city famous for wedding cakes that make brides cry happy tears and cupcakes that sell out before noon. I built every crumb of it myself after our parents died when I was 22 and Isabella was 19. I raised her, paid for her art school, gave her a job in my first tiny shop when she dropped out. I thought blood meant unbreakable. That Saturday started perfect. The flagship store was packed with weekend customers, the air thick with vanilla and browned butter. I was in the back decorating a 5-tier wedding cake for a celebrity influencer when my manager, Leela, came running in pale as frosting. "Sophia, there are police officers out front. They're asking for you by name." My stomach dropped. I wiped buttercream off my hands, walked out smiling like it was a mistake, and saw 2 uniformed officers standing by the display case. Customers froze mid-bite. "Sophia Rossi?" the older officer asked. "That's me. We need to speak privately. Allegations of embezzlement and theft from your business accounts. Over $80,000. The words hit like ice water. The younger officer stepped forward with handcuffs already out. "You have the right to remain silent." I don't remember the rest of the Miranda rights. I only remember the click of metal around my wrists in front of 30 customers, phones already recording, my employees crying, and the wedding cake topper falling off the counter and shattering on the floor like my entire life. They marched me out past the line of shocked patrons. One regular, Mrs. Henderson, who buys lemon bars every Friday, actually gasped and clutched her pearls. In the back of the patrol car, I kept asking who reported this. 2. Building Sophia's Sweet Haven. From 1 oven to 10 stores. Everyone thinks opening a bakery is about pretty cakes and happy customers. They don't see the years of burnt batches, broken mixers, and nights you cry into the dough because the rent is due and you're $200 short. When our parents died in that car accident, I was 22, fresh out of culinary school, and suddenly the guardian of a heartbroken 19-year-old sister. Isabella was supposed to start art college that fall. Instead, we buried Mom and Dad on a Tuesday and faced creditors on Wednesday. The insurance money barely covered the funeral. The house had a second mortgage Dad had hidden from us. We had 3 weeks before foreclosure. I took every shift I could at the downtown cafe where I'd been interning. I came home at 2 a.m., baked in our tiny apartment kitchen until dawn, then sold the extras from a folding table outside the Saturday farmers market. First week, 47 cupcakes, $180 profit. I cried in the shower that night, not from grief this time, but from hope. Isabella helped at first. She designed the little handwritten signs, tied ribbons on the boxes, charmed customers into buying 2 instead of 1. We called the pop-up Sophia's Sweet Haven because that's what I wanted it to be, a safe place in a world that had just turned cruel. Within 6 months, I'd saved enough to rent a 400-square-foot storefront that used to be a dry cleaner, 1 commercial oven, 1 display case from a bankrupt diner, and walls I painted soft yellow myself. Opening day, we sold out by noon. Isabella painted a mural of flowers and cupcakes on the back wall that customers still photograph to this day. Year 2, we added a second location. Year 4, 15 years is a long time to carry resentment. Long enough for it to grow roots, twist into something dark, and bloom when you least expect it. Isabella left the day she turned 29. No goodbye cake, no note, just an empty closet and a text that read, "I can't breathe here. Don't look for me." I didn't. Not because I didn't love her, but because I was tired of being the only one holding us together. She moved 3 states away, bounced between boyfriends and dead-end jobs, opened an art gallery that closed in 6 months, then another that closed in 4. Every Christmas, she sent a card with a generic, thinking of you. Every birthday, she posted old photos of us on Instagram with captions like, miss my big sis, and hundreds of heart emojis. I liked every post. I never commented. Then, last spring, my phone rang with a number I hadn't saved but still knew by heart. Sophie? Her voice was softer, older, threaded with something I couldn't name. It's Bella. I'm coming home. She showed up on my doorstep 3 days later with one suitcase, new blonde highlights, and a smile that looked exactly like the one she wore the day Mom let her lick the batter bowl. I humped her so hard I felt her ribs. She cried into my shoulder, whispering, I'm sorry, I was lost. I'm better now. I believed her. I gave her the guest room with the window overlooking the garden. I cooked her favorite lasagna. I introduced her to my staff as my brilliant artist sister who's finally back where she belongs. Within a week, she was helping at the flagship store, rearranging displays, suggesting new color schemes, charming customers into buying extra pastries. Everyone loved her. Of course they did. She'd always been the spark. One night, over wine on the patio, she said, Sophie, your empire is incredible. I'm so proud. I want to be part of it again, for real this time. I felt my heart swell. 4. The missing $80,000 and the fake evidence she planted. It started with a phone call from my accountant on a Monday morning. Sophia, we have a problem. $82,000 is missing from the main operating account over the last 4 months. Small transfers, $5,000 to $10,000 at a time, all to an offshore account ending in 7741. The memos say vendor advance or equipment deposit, but none of the vendors match. I was in the central kitchen tasting a new raspberry filling. The spoon froze halfway to my mouth. Run it again, I said. I ran it 3 times, he replied. And, Sophia, every transfer was authorized with your digital signature and your personal login credentials. My heart started pounding harder than any mixer on high speed. I drove straight to the office, pulled up the bank logs myself. There they were, clean, professional transfers, each one approved at odd hours. 2:14 a.m., 3:07 a.m., times I was always asleep. Attached to each was an email from me to the accountant. Approved, new supplier deposit for European chocolate import. Please process ASAP. S. The emails came from my exact address. The signature matched perfectly. Even the little emoji I sometimes add, a tiny cupcake, was there. I felt the floor tilt. I called an emergency meeting with my IT guy, Raj. He pulled the login history within an hour. Every suspicious transfer originated from an IP address registered to a coffee shop 3 blocks from Isabella's new apartment. I stared at the screen until the numbers blurred. That night, I went home early, poured a glass of wine I didn't drink, and waited for Isabella to come over for our usual Tuesday dinner. She arrived with a bottle of Prosecco and a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Sophie, you look exhausted. Rough day? I forced a laugh. You could say that. Some money missing from the business account. Accountants freaking out. Her face changed for half a second, just a flicker, before the concern mask slid into place. Oh my God, how much? 80 grand in change. That's insane. Who would do that to you? I watched her peel the foil off the Prosecco like it was the most interesting thing in the world. Police think it's internal, I said softly. She popped the cork. Internal? Like an employee? I didn't answer. I just watched her pour 2 glasses with steady hands. That was Wednesday. By Friday, the evidence started appearing like poisonous mushrooms. 15. Handcuffs in front of my customers. The ultimate humiliation. The morning it happened, the flagship store was at its Saturday peak. Lines out the door, kids pressing noses against the glass display, the air thick with cinnamon and fresh buttercream. I was in my usual spot behind the counter in my favorite teal apron, piping roses on a birthday cake for a little girl's unicorn party, smiling at customers like it was any other day. Then the front door chimed and two detectives in plain clothes walked in with two uniformed officers behind them. The store went quiet except for the hum of the coolers. "Sophia Rossi?" the lead detective asked, flashing a badge. Every head turned. I wiped my hands on my apron, heart already racing. "Yes, that's me. We have a warrant for your arrest. Embezzlement, theft over $50,000, fraud." He didn't even lower his voice. The words echoed off the tiled walls like gunshots. A mom in line gasped. A teenager started filming on her phone. My cashier, Mia, who's been with me 8 years, burst into tears. I tried to stay calm. "There's been a mistake. I can explain." The detective cut me off. "Hands behind your back, ma'am." Cold metal closed around my wrists. The click was louder than any oven timer I've ever heard. Customers stepped back, forming a circle like I was contagious. Someone whispered, "That's the owner." Another said, "I knew those prices were too good." I felt the flour on my fingers sticking to the cuffs, buttercream smeared on my sleeve from the piping bag I was still holding. The officers walked me through the store, past the display of my award-winning red velvet cupcakes, past the chalkboard that read, "Made with love every day," past the framed magazine covers calling me the Queen of Cakes. Outside, the crowd had grown. Phones up, flashes, someone live streaming, "Y'all, they're arresting Sophia from Sweet Haven." They put me in the back of the unmarked car. Through the window, I saw Mia lock the door and flip the sign to closed for the first time in 12 years. Customers stood there stunned, some crying, some already posting. 5. Handcuffs in front of my customers. The ultimate humiliation. The morning it happened, the flagship store was at its Saturday peak. Lines out the door, kids pressing noses against the glass display, the air thick with cinnamon and fresh buttercream. I was in my usual spot, behind the counter in my favorite teal apron, piping roses on a birthday cake for a little girl's unicorn party, smiling at customers like it was any other day. Then the front door chimed, and two detectives in plain clothes walked in with two uniformed officers behind them. The store went quiet, except for the hum of the coolers. "Sophia Rossi?" the lead detective asked, flashing a badge. Every head turned. I wiped my hands on my apron, heart already racing. "Yes, that's me. We have a warrant for your arrest. Embezzlement, theft over $50,000, fraud." He didn't even lower his voice. The words echoed off the tiled walls like gunshots. A mom in line gasped. A teenager started filming on her phone. My cashier, Mia, who's been with me 8 years, burst into tears. I tried to stay calm. "There's been a mistake. I can explain." The detective cut me off. "Hands behind your back, ma'am." Cold metal closed around my wrists. The click was louder than any oven timer I've ever heard. Customers stepped back, forming a circle like I was contagious. Someone whispered, "That's the owner." Another said, "I knew those prices were too good." I felt the flour on my fingers sticking to the cuffs, buttercream smeared on my sleeve from the piping bag I was still holding. The officers walked me through the store, past the display of my award-winning red velvet cupcakes, past the chalkboard that read, "Made with love every day," past the framed magazine covers calling me the Queen of Cakes. Outside, the crowd had grown. Phones up, flashes. Someone live streaming, "Y'all, they're arresting Sophia from Sweet Haven." They put me in the back of the unmarked car. Through the window, I saw Mia lock the door and flip the sign to closed for the first time in 12 years. Customers stood there stunned, some crying, some already posting. Spending the night in jail while she comforted my kids. The holding cell smelled like bleach, old sweat, and despair. Concrete bench, thin mattress that crinkled like plastic wrap, toilet in the corner with no privacy. I sat there in my teal apron for hours, waiting for processing, waiting for bail, waiting for the world to make sense again. My kids, Luca, 14, and Ava, 11, were at home when the police searched the house. Isabella was there. She called me from my own kitchen while officers bagged my laptop. "Sophie, the kids are terrified," she whispered, voice trembling perfectly. "I'm keeping them calm. Don't worry, I've got them." I could hear Ava crying in the background, Luca asking, "Where's Mom? Why are the police here?" I choked out, "Put them on." Isabella hesitated. "They're too upset right now. Let me handle it. You just stay strong." The line went dead. That was the last time I spoke to my children for 24 hours. Bail was set at $50,000. My lawyer worked fast, but it was Saturday. Courts move slow on weekends. I spent the night. They finally took the apron, property, and gave me an orange jumpsuit 2 sizes too big. I lay on the bench staring at the ceiling, fluorescent light buzzing like an angry bee, replaying every moment. At 9 p.m., the guard brought dinner: gray meat, cold mashed potatoes, a bruised apple. I couldn't eat. At 10 p.m., lights dimmed to a sickly yellow. Women around me talked in low voices. Some cried. One prayed in Spanish. At 11 p.m., I finally broke. Not loud, just silent tears soaking the thin pillow, thinking of Luca trying to be brave for Ava, thinking of them asking Isabella why Mommy was in jail, and Isabella answering with perfect sorrow, "I don't know, sweeties, but Aunt Bella is here." I imagined her tucking them in my bed, reading Ava's favorite book in the voice I always used for the princess character, making Luca hot chocolate with extra marshmallows the way only I knew he liked. I imagined her telling them, "Mommy made some mistakes with money, but she loves you." I imagined the seeds planting: doubt, fear, distance. 7. Discovering she'd been stealing recipes and clients for months. Bail was posted Sunday morning. I walked out of the station in the same clothes I'd worn Saturday, hair unbrushed, eyes red, but chin up. The story was already everywhere: local news, TikTok, Facebook groups. Beloved bakery owner arrested for embezzlement. My stores were closed by court order pending investigation. Vendors had frozen deliveries, wedding bookings were canceling left and right. Isabella picked me up in my own car. She hugged me in the parking lot like I'd returned from war. "Sophie, thank God. The kids are with me. Let's get you home." Home felt like a crime scene. Yellow police tape remnants on the office door, drawers still half open from the search. She made me tea, tucked me on the couch with a blanket, and said, "You rest. I've been handling the crisis PR. Customers are devastated. Everyone knows it's a mistake." I nodded, eyes half closed, playing exhausted. That night, after she left to check on the kids at her place, I got to work. First, I logged into the business cloud drive from my old tablet, the one the police hadn't taken because it was in the car. What I found made my blood run cold. For the past 5 months, Isabella had been downloading every single proprietary recipe file: my award-winning red velvet formula with the secret vinegar ratio, the lemon curd that took me 3 years to perfect, the gluten-free chocolate cake that brides begged for, even the seasonal flavors I hadn't released yet. Each file copied to an external folder titled Bella Bakes, New Menu. Next, the client database. She'd exported the entire wedding inquiry list: names, dates, budgets, flavor preferences, phone numbers, emails. Then the vendor contacts: my exclusive European chocolate supplier, the rare Madagascar vanilla source, the custom box printer who gave me wholesale rates. Hundreds of files, all transferred between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. on nights she claimed to be asleep early. But the worst was the email folder I'd never seen before: launch plan. Dozens of messages from Isabella to a commercial realtor.
Looking for 3,000 to 5,000 square foot retail space, high foot traffic, preferably near existing Sweet Haven locations. 2. A graphic designer. New logo attached, similar 8. The silent comeback. Rebuilding stronger with a secret weapon. The week after my arrest, the world thought Sophia's Sweet Haven was finished. Stores shuttered, social media silent, bookings canceled, suppliers calling in debts. The news ran the same clip on loop, me in handcuffs, head down, being let out of my own bakery. Isabella played her role perfectly. Daily Instagram stories, holding down the fort for my sister during this difficult time, family first, photos of her baking with my kids, using my kitchen, my recipes, comments flooded, "You're a saint, poor Sophia." I went dark. No statements, no interviews, no pleas. I let the silence do its work. Behind the scenes, I was building. First, the evidence. My lawyer filed emergency motions to unfreeze accounts and return seized devices. The forged emails? Traced back to Isabella's IP. The offshore account? Opened with her driver's license photo. She'd used a fake name, but the same face. The security footage? Enhanced by a forensic expert, showed a birthmark on the thief's wrist that matched Isabella's exactly. Charges against me dropped within 10 days. Quietly, no press conference, just a one-line court filing. Case dismissed, evidence of third-party fraud. I didn't celebrate publicly. Instead, I rebuilt in the shadows. Step 1. Loyal core. I called my original 5 employees, the ones who'd been with me since the first store, met them secretly at 4 a.m. in the closed central kitchen, told them everything, showed them the evidence, offered them partnership shares if they came back. All 5 said yes without hesitation. Step 2. Pop-up resurrection. We rented a ghost kitchen under a new LLC name I controlled alone. No signage, no social media, just word of mouth to my most loyal brides and corporate clients. Sophia's testing new flavors, limited batches, cash only, pickup only. We sold out in hours, then days, then pre-orders 3 weeks out. Step 3. The secret weapon. While Isabella was busy courting my old clients, offering familiar flavors at better prices.
9. Buying her dream mansion, one day before she closed. The Crescent Hill mansion had been Isabella's obsession for years. She'd email me listings, pin photos on a secret Pinterest board titled Future Home, talk about it at every family dinner, the turret room for her art studio, the wraparound porch for morning coffee, the ballroom for parties, the carriage house for a bakery cafe. "It's perfect, Sophie, one day." I always smiled and said, "One day, Bella." That one day arrived on a Thursday in October. The house went on the market after the elderly owner passed. Historic Victorian, fully restored, 6,000 square feet, half-acre garden. Asking $2.4 million. Isabella called me the day it listed, voice breathless. "Sophie, it's on the market. I'm putting in an offer tomorrow. I've saved, and with the investor money for Bella's bliss, I can swing it." I murmured congratulations, heart pounding. Her offer went in Friday, $2.35 million, contingent on financing and business asset sale in 45 days. Mine went in Saturday morning, $2.6 million cash, no contingencies, 10-day close. The seller, a trust managed by a no-nonsense attorney, chose mine. Cash always wins over contingencies. I signed the papers Monday in my lawyer's office, wired the full amount from the business reserve account Isabella didn't know existed. Closing scheduled for Thursday. Isabella's realtor called her Wednesday afternoon with the bad news. She showed up at my house that evening, eyes wild, face blotchy from crying. "Sophie, the house, it went to another buyer. Cash offer. They close tomorrow. How is that possible?" I was in the kitchen baking cookies for the kids' school. I turned slowly, wiped flour off my hands. "Oh no, Bella, I'm so sorry." She paced, ranting. "It's not fair. I've dreamed of that house forever. The turret, the garden, I already picked paint colors." I handed her a warm cookie. "Dreams change sometimes." She didn't notice my voice was too calm. Thursday morning, I closed at 9 a.m., signed the deed, got the keys, took photos in the empty ballroom with sun. 10. Walking into the housewarming party as the new owner. The invitations went out 2 weeks after closing. Elegant cream cardstock with gold foil. "You're invited to the grand housewarming and reopening of Sophia's Sweet Haven flagship, a new chapter in an historic home." No mention of the address on the invite, just exclusive location revealed upon RSVP. Every person Isabella had courted got one. Her potential investors, the clients she'd tried to poach, the vendors she'd sweet-talked, our mutual friends who'd liked her family first posts. Over 150 RSVPs flooded in, everyone curious about the mystery venue and the dramatic comeback rumors. Isabella got an invite too, hand-delivered by my son Luca, who simply said, "Mom asked me to give you this." She opened it, read the date, assumed it was a reconciliation olive branch, and RSVP'd yes for one. Party day arrived. Perfect spring Saturday, sun warm, flowers exploding in the garden I'd had professionally planted overnight. The mansion gleamed, fresh paint, restored stained glass, porch strung with fairy lights. The ballroom turned into a tasting wonderland, long tables draped in white linen, tiers of my new signature cakes, dessert stations with the recipes she'd never touched. My loyal team wore crisp new uniforms with the updated logo, live string quartet in the turret, photographer capturing every smile. Guests arrived in dresses and suits, oohing and eyeing as valets parked their cars. Isabella showed up at 7:15 p.m., right in the middle of cocktail hour. Designer dress, hair perfect, gift bag in hand, ready to play gracious sister in front of the crowd she thought would soon be hers. She stepped through the front door, looked around at the familiar foyer she'd dreamed of owning, and froze. Every head turned. Not to her, to me. I was standing at the top of the grand staircase in a simple emerald dress, holding a glass of champagne, smiling down like a queen greeting her court. "Welcome, everyone," I called, voice carrying effortlessly. "Thank you for coming to celebrate new beginnings in my new home." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Isabella's face went white. I descended the stairs slowly, every step deliberate, until I stood in front of her. "Bella," I said warmly, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "So glad you could make it." She stammered. "Sophie? This is the Crescent Hill house?" I smiled wider. "It is. Closed a few weeks ago. Perfect for the new flagship, don't you think? The carriage house kitchen is twice the size of my old central one." Guests started whispering. Phones came out discreetly. I turned to the crowd. "Many of you know the last few months have been challenging. False accusations, betrayal by someone very close. But justice prevailed, and here we are, stronger than ever." I raised my glass.